In this video, I'll be reviewing Dessert Person by Claire Saffitz. Before we begin, I just want to say I really appreciate you guys subscribing. We're getting closer to 1,000, which I'm really grateful for. Make sure to like and subscribe to this video. If you're interested in winning this cookbook through a raffle, just comment below and make sure you're subscribed. Thanks. If you don't know Claire, she was born in St. Louis, Missouri. She went to Harvard, where she graduated with a bachelorette in U.S. History and Literature, and then later moved to Paris to study French cuisine and pastry at the school, and sorry for my pronunciation, École Grégoire Ferrandi.
École Grégoire Ferrandi.
She also did an externship at the Spring Restaurant in Paris, which was run by the American chef Daniel Rose, which closed in 2017. Afterwards, she moved to Montreal, where she got her master's in the early modern era of French culinary history. In 2013, she was hired by Bon Appetit Test Kitchen, where she started as a recipe tester and then worked her way up to senior food editor. Her claim to fame, and what everyone really knows her for, is her gourmet makes that started in 2017, where her first video was to make Twinkies. She did a lot of these videos, it was a highlight of the channel, but in 2020, she departed amongst other chefs from the Bon Appetit kitchen due to the drama that I've mentioned before. She launched this book back in 2020, which became a New York Times bestseller and was also nominated by the International Association of Culinary Professionals as a finalist in the baking category. The book also won the IACP Julia Child First Book Award. Claire also has her own YouTube channel now, where she posts videos of her bakes and her recipes from her books. She also now contributes to New York Times Cooking, which a lot of previous Bon Appetit members contribute to. To me, her new videos aren't as fun. What was great about the Bon Appetit videos were her bouncing off ideas with Chris, or Brad coming around and poking fun with her. I think her new videos are really sweet, but it's a little bit too much. I felt like it was more balanced in the Bon Appetit videos. They're very comfy, but they're just not as entertaining. I just love seeing all the people interact with each other and make fun of Claire and praise Claire. It was just really great to see. I'm kind of sad they had to go, but you know, times change. This book covers a lot of different desserts, just general baking and ideas that Claire had. I want to say this book is kind of like Americana with French influence. You can definitely tell that Claire went to a French pastry school because there's a lot of technique and presentation is very important to her. Recipes range from loaf cakes to pies to cookies, layer cakes. There's a breakfast and brunch section. There's savory breads, and then there's kind of a section on the foundation recipes like crumble topping, pie dough, tart dough, stuff like that. In the beginning, she has a recipe matrix, which is really handy because it tells you the time and the difficulty for each recipe. So if you want something that's really easy and short on time, you can look it up, or if you want something that's really challenging but short on time, you can look that up. So I think that's really useful. In the beginning of the book, she goes over on how you shouldn't rely on bake times. This is an important part of the book because in each recipe she says, cook for 18 to 20 minutes or until golden brown. It's more important for you to figure out when golden brown is than actually just obeying the time. A lot of these recipes will have seasonal ingredients. At the top of the recipe, it'll say best time to do this is in the fall or all year round or summer. I wish she did something with the recipe matrix where she has a chart of what would be good during which season. That way, if it was fall, I could just look up what were fall recipes. I think this book shines when the recipes center around seasonal fruits and pastries. Claire's really good at that. All the pictures in this book are really nice and inviting. I like just flipping through it. I think this book is well stylized and the text is really clear and everything just looks good together. There's plenty of pictures throughout the book that demonstrate techniques on how to make these recipes and how to knead dough, which can be useful. I wish there was some more, but these are more in the foundation recipes, which is the more important part to have these pictures. Because she has this foundation recipe section, recipes will call other recipes, like the pie section will say pie dough. So at first glance, the recipe might not look complicated, but if you kind of go to the foundation recipe, it kind of becomes more. There's a lot of great recipes, especially when they're very simple. I think Claire can sometimes tend to overcomplicate things. She has a rice pudding cake with mango caramel sauce. I think it could have just been fine without the sauce. Maybe just put caramel, maybe just dulce de leche. I didn't see why we had to do a mango caramel sauce. In this book, of course, stick to weights and not volumetric ingredients. She has everything weighted down. That'll keep things more consistent. I made her apple tart recipe, which I really enjoyed making because I could break it apart in multiple days. So I wasn't overwhelmed with one day of just a ton of work to bake this. I also tried the chewy molasses spice cookies, which were actually really delicious and very easy to make. So I really enjoyed this recipe. My issues with this book is water is never mentioned as an ingredient, which of course water is an ingredient. I wish it was mentioned on the side. It would make gathering everything a lot easier. There's a lot of niche ingredients that might be hard to get if you don't have a good grocery store, like spelt flour, quince, fresh kumquats. These are fruits that are just a little tricky to find unless you have a really high quality grocery store. I think this book kind of really fell off in the savory section. The savory recipes aren't bad. I just kind of lost a lot of interest in that area. This book is, about desserts. I don't think she really needed to have a savory section. I would have been fine if she didn't have a savory section and she focused more on honing in all her other sweet recipes. Another great thing about this cookbook as many of her recipes are posted on her YouTube channel, so you can get a tutorial before even attempting the recipe. But yeah, I think a lot of the recipes in this book are really creative, and the recipes that shine are the very simple recipes that might have a little change to it, or just the classic fruit dessert recipes. I think this is a pretty good book to own. I wouldn't say it's an essential baking book, but if you like Claire and you think she's really good with her ideas and you're really into fruit desserts, I would recommend this book. I think it's a solid baking book. It's nothing essential, but I think you'll enjoy it. I'm giving this book a 7 out of 10.